Well, the House returns from recess Tuesday as concerns grow over possible government shutdown at the end of the month, as you just heard Lucas reporting about. Let's bring in Texas Congressman Jody Arrington now, House Budget Committee Chairman and member of the House Ways and Means Committee. Congressman, we have a lot to get through, so let's get right to it. First of all, the holdup, the Freedom Caucus, they want to limit funding for Ukraine. They claim the FBI and Justice Departments are politically motivated, so they don't want to fund them. So first, of course, the latter is a subjective matter. And if these issues, Congressman, aren't ironed out now, why should Americans believe that Congress will sort them out in the next 20 days?
Well, look, the American people gave Republicans in the House the power of the purse to use responsibly but resolutely to do a few things. We've got to stop the spending that has created this cost of living crisis for working Americans, stacking up debt that is completely unsustainable and stalling out our economy. Secondly, we've got to rein in this woke and weaponized bureaucracy. There's overreach, there's politicization, there's corruption, and we've got to hold this administration accountable through this power of the purse and reprioritize, ultimately, reprioritize the people's government on the people's needs and interests and refocus on that core mission of keeping the American people safe and secure, and border security is the most imminent threat to the safety and security of the American people. So I think all Republicans are focused on that, and that's the goal, and that's the outcome we want in the funding package coming out of the United States House.
Now, Senator John Cornyn, a fellow Texan, says you don't put the federal budget on the table as a bargaining chip. He says that, you know, that just is not good policy. What do you say to that?
I say, why do you even fund a federal government that can't do its first and most important job? Why would we spend the taxpayers' money on all these woke policies and programs, this radical agenda, this levers of power by the government targeted on parents and people who are pro-life advocates? The list is long of the abuses. And we can't sit idly by. We've got the power of subpoena and the power of the purse, and we have to use it to rein all this in and refocus the people's government on what it ought to be focused on, keeping us safe.
But why is it always delay? Why is it always delay, Congressman, and not diplomacy?
Look, let me speak to the Senate. The Senate's bipartisan infrastructure bill was about 90 cents on every dollar on climate and not core infrastructure. America lost on that. There was Chinese industrial policy for chip manufacturers. That was supposedly bipartisan. The Senate's funding bill is nothing more than status quo. It's a rubber stamp. We're going through every line, every account of every agency, policy, and program. It's like zero-based budgeting so that we can root out the waste and woke and refocus this government on the things that matter, like security and safety, and keeping the American people from having their fundamental rights and freedoms infringed. I think that's an appropriate thing for us to do, and I believe that's why the American people gave us the majority.
And I understand that your job as a congressman is to look out for the benefit of the American people, but the American people also want Congress to do its job, and that's able to compartmentalize and categorize certain issues and get the job done. And so to kind of take some of the politics out of it. And again, Senator Cornyn says don't put the federal budget on hold due to personal politics.
Look, we did this with the debt ceiling. Okay, it took 90 days to even get Schumer and the president to show up. But we pressed and we pushed and leaned into this so that we could both raise the debt ceiling and cut the spending that was causing inflation and creating this potential debt crisis. And we got some fiscal reforms at the same time. It is long overdue for us to go through the government's budget and all these appropriations committee bills and right-size a bureaucracy that has grown 40% since COVID. There's a lot of work to do. It's serious work, and we're not just going to kick the can down the road and rubber stamp like our friends in the Senate have done. That's not acceptable. And the American people who are tightening their belts, changing their spending habits, they expect us to do the same with their tax dollars.
They do, and they expect you to balance the budget and not running on CRs all the time. I'm sorry, Congressman, what does woke mean?
Well, woke means, in this case in particular, politicizing sexuality, politicizing race, which is divisive for our country. It's dividing and detracting the interest of our military so that they are one big laboratory of social invention instead of focusing their efforts on being trained to fight and win wars. Woke is.
Well, wait a minute. Excuse me. Do you think the military is simply concerned about their social agenda, if you will, as opposed to defending our country? Is that what you're saying about the military?
You better believe it. If you talk to the soldiers and sailors in this Pentagon and in our military under the leadership of this commander-in-chief, they are absolutely distracted at best, if not divided within the Pentagon because of all these leftist ideological programs that have no business in our national defense and in our military. And I just proposed a bill that said you can't look at, for example, hiring contractors to provide munitions and other important things for lethal power for the United States, where they're ordering climate impact as number one. How about being able to destroy the enemy and win wars as the first goal of our contracting for our military needs? Yes, it is out of control. Absolutely. There's a whole of government assault on oil and gas and our energy independence by this administration. Okay. I call that.
Congressman, there's a lot you threw in there, and I'm not saying that the American people are not on your side in terms of getting some of these things ironed out. I just think that American people are, wanting Congress to get their jobs done and again separate some of the personal for the politics. Anyway, look, we've got 20 days left. Are you going to get a budget passed by then? Do you think?
Arthel, we won't get everything we want with respect to the things I've outlined, but we better make some meaningful progress. And the only way to do that is for Republicans to unify around a conservative funding bill. That's what our focus is going to be when we get back. And I think the outcome's going to be better for the American people and for our country in the long run. It's hard work, but we did it in the debt ceiling debate, and the outcome was better and more responsible. We're going to do it in the funding bill, and I think we're going to get the same outcome. Every American will win in that regard, especially those struggling with cost of living today.
Well, this is all about the benefit of America, so let's hope you guys get it done, get the job done. Hey, quickly, did you watch that UT Texas and Alabama game last night? The one question I anticipated, congratulations to your alma mater for that big victory over the Crimson Tide. That was big. Congratulations. My Red Raiders almost pulled it out over the Oregon Ducks, but didn't quite get there. But we'll bounce back. We did it. It was great. All right, Congressman, a lot of serious stuff, but I wish you well. I hope y'all get it done. Jody Arrington, thank you very much. Take care.
God bless.